This is what it looks like to realize you're about to have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After 3 of the most perfect Rubik's Cube solves of his life, Luke Garrett now has the chance to break a generational curse. The 3,000-day-old record that's haunted an entire decade of American Rubik's Cube solving. So much so that the man who said it, Max Park, has broken 126 more national records since he first achieved this one. And throughout all of that time, nobody managed to take this one record away from him. That was until this moment, when Luke had the opportunity to do exactly that. All he needs is a 5.23 second solve or better to do it. This tiny hesitation, one singular move, cost the entire country a dream 8 years in the making. This is the moment Max Park's dominance became comically insane. Not just because of the 3,000 days or 126 national records, but because of what it all meant going into the 2025 National Championship. Beating Max had proven to be a nearly impossible task. At least, that's what it seemed, because surprisingly, through all of this chaos, one narrative became clearer and clearer in the days leading up to Nationals. Max wasn't the favorite going into it, and neither was Luke Garrett. Despite both of them being ranked first and second in the country, there was one man who was widely regarded to be faster than both of them. Marty Inaba was the first person in well over 8 years to go into a national championship as the favorite over Max Park. With all of his failures at the national record, everyone knew that he was due for a generational moment.
He's got it!
And what better place for it to happen than at the national championship? After 3,114 days, Max Park was still ranked number 1 in the US. But the world didn't agree, and there was no shortage of people who were ready to tell him about it. Amidst all of the pressure and narratives, everyone was waiting to see how Max would respond in round 1.
Maddie did well on, so you can see how Max does on this one, and already a 449, counting the 4.6, and he's pacing.
With everything on the line, Max puts down his second fastest average ever in the moment that the world thought he would finally crack. The closest he's come to breaking his own national record, a result that would take nothing short of a miracle for anyone else in the round to come close to. Even with the fastest solve of round 1 from Maddie and absurd solving from 4th in the US Dylan Miller, none of it was enough to rival the 4-time national champion. And in the most cutthroat round 1 in US Nationals history, half of the field was wiped out in heartbreaking fashion, leaving only the main contenders to win it all still alive. And each of them knew, going into this year's national semifinal, that the pressure was gonna be just a little bit different. Because 2025's semifinal format will see the fewest number of people in any year ever make it through to the final. It is an all-out war mentally, with competitors who we thought were guaranteed to make it on the brink of elimination from the start. What do you think that pressure is like in the semifinal in particular?
It's going to be very nerve-wracking.
You cannot put pressure on yourself.
It's more so just like a fear of failing.
+2, 8.5. One of the favorites to make it onto the national podium looks like is going to get knocked out in the second round.
It's like you either just do what you were supposed to do, or you absolutely throw and fail.
And in the most intense round since the World Championship final, nerves were at an all-time high. But Max Park is no stranger to the pressure of semifinals, ending in a tie with Luke Garrett that firmly secured him a spot in finals. 6th in the US Luke Greiser just barely made it into the second-to-last spot, with tragic moment after tragic moment eliminating more and more by the minute. The tragedy of US Nationals is that you're given just one moment to prove yourself for an entire year's worth of work. But sometimes, when the pressure is at its highest, and there's no choice but to perform, the best get even better. And for Marty Inaba, something about this semifinal just felt different.
That's not going to be good enough. Let's switch over to Marty Inaba very quickly. Color neutral solver using green cross. Absolutely fluid, turning a 4.61. I didn't even have time to breathe during that solve.
I was solving so well warming up. I knew going into it, like, I was going to do something good.
It's blue cross. Turning, pausing a little bit on F12 number 3, but his transitions are absolutely fluid. That's another sub-5 from Marty, 4.92. He's on pace for a sub-5 average.
Marty started rounds with back-to-back sub-5s in the past, but never in a moment that mattered this much.
Means that the 7-3 is a little bit nullified.
Short inspection again from Matty, but his transitions are so fluid. Holy moly, Keaton, we are officially on NAR watch as Matty gets a 4.5.
I mean, after that solve, I've worked really hard to be able to not realize that I'm on pace. And that was one of the first times I've been on pace and not like calculated what I needed for a certain time. What I was thinking before the solve was just, you don't have to have a perfect solve to get this.
Matty right now knows he has a golden opportunity coming in with 3 4s in his first 3 solves.
8 years of waiting, 3,114 days, and so many failed attempts along the way have brought him to this one moment. A chance at the longest standing national record in the Rubik's Cube's history on the country's biggest stage.
Now he's locked himself into PR 501, his current personal record average. Yellow Cross is the choice for him as well. Great turning at Keaton. I think he's got it. He's got it. 4.64. Sub 5 average for Matty Hiroto to break the North American record average and take it away from Max Park.
In the greatest round of his life, Matty Hiroto Inaba has finally done it. The longest held record in American speedcubing history has fallen. His average, 4.72. A number that not only dethrones Max Park at the top of the rankings in the US, but gives him the #1 seed moving into the most important national championship final of his career. It's the matchup that everyone has been waiting to see. Max Park versus Matty Hiroto Inaba. And with his 8-year record being taken away from him the round before the final, for Max, absolutely everything is on the line.
This is going to be a mental game, basically.
Finals are just completely unpredictable.
Whoever has the best mindset is going to win this competition.
But somehow, the chaos that would follow had nothing to do with Max Park or Matty Hiroto Inaba, because in the very first pairing between last year's second place finisher Luke Greiser and 18th in the US Christopher Sun, history is about to be made in the most unexpected way possible. Luke goes into this moment having come second to Max Park last year in the single greatest performance of his career.
When I finished my 545, I knew that I had a really good average. I didn't know that it was podium really good. One of the best solves I've ever done in my entire life.
And now, he looks for the one thing left to achieve. But there was extremely little known about 18th in the US Christopher Sun solving going into this final. Commentator Keaton Ellis tried to warn us again and again that we had no idea what we were in for. And whether we liked it or not, we were about to learn exactly why. Both started with 5s, but Chris quickly began to pull away as he dropped sub 6 after sub 6, 552, 542, times even faster than Max's average last round. Luke's turning continued to struggle, but Chris, with all of the pressure at hand, is now in position to break his PR in the national championship final. A completely unheard of situation to find yourself in. Luke's average ends unfortunately with a 9.06, while Christopher Sun prepares for the biggest solve of his cubing career. All he needs is a 6.36 to beat his personal record average and put himself in unbelievable position.
Doesn't look like as nice of a scramble, but
5.83.
Chris finishes with a 5.69 PR average in Nationals finals. Max Park's winning average at last year's Nationals? 5.69. You heard that correctly. Chris Sun, squeezing in at the last possible spot to make the final, has just matched the mark to beat to win the entire thing. Over the final 6 solvers, if he manages to pull this off, it will be bar none the single greatest upset in the national championship's history. And the good news for Chris is that nerves are at an all-time high, perfectly exemplified as 6th seed Max Xiao saw turning struggles early, and 5th seed Caleb Chen began to fall during the latter half of his average. He started off incredibly well, and he even had the chance on this final solve to tie Chris Sun for first place, but a few too many moves and pauses kept him from doing so. With that, the 18th ranked solver in the US maintained a still large margin over the rest of the field, as 4 candidates remain to keep this all-time upset from happening. And if anyone can do it, it's the man who has come the absolute closest to beating Max Park over the last 3 years. Finishing second at Nationals 2023, coming 0.02 of a second from stealing the national record and tying with Max the round prior. Luke Garrett goes into these 5 solves with the best chance he's ever had at becoming national champion. His matchup, 5th in the US Brian Johnson, starts with a decent solve that surprisingly blows Luke's first solve completely out of the water. It's a rough start that he cannot afford to replicate over these next 4 attempts. And as Brian's next solve is an even faster 5.2, the pressure is officially on. Luke with a solid start to solve 2, some great turning here, responding with an extremely smooth 5.1. They both need all the momentum they can get, and Brian is keeping it up with yet another sub 6. Despite the lockups from Luke, he matches it with a 5.89. These final 2 solves mean absolutely everything. If either expects to win, they cannot afford a solve slower than 5.85. Unfortunately for Brian, he ends with exactly that, knocking him out of contention for the top spot. If Luke doesn't reach that same mark, 18th in the US Christopher Sun remains in first place at the 2025 National Championship. The start looks solid, reaching last layer at low 3, but a hesitation and huge cube drop instantly knocks him out of the top 3.
Oh no, the drop!
The reality of the one chance a year you have at becoming national champion is a tragic one, and sometimes it goes nothing like it was expected to. Chris Sun remains rank 1 at 2025 US Nationals, moving into the final 2 competitors. If this matchup wasn't already the biggest rivalry in the country, it most definitely is now. And if you weren't already subscribed to the channel, you definitely should now. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is about to be absolute cinema. After Matty Hiroto Inaba stole Max Park's national record average just hours prior, he attempts to stop Max from winning his 5th national title, the most ever. A loss from Max would symbolize the end of one era and the beginning of another. First in the US versus second in the US. And going into these final solves that will determine history, he's in the exact mindset we expected. Beautiful solving into a 4.97. Matty is on an absolute tear, but Max is the greatest speedcuber in the US's history for a reason. Some thought that losing his record would shake him, but he's already putting the pressure back onto Matty after solve 1. And that pressure is evident. It's a decent start, but a very shaky solve overall, finishing with a 6.26. He knows that a time like that isn't going to be enough, especially when Max is solving at the level he's at. Solve 2, again, is absolutely pauseless, blazing through for a low 5. Matty's first solve now carries much more weight than before. He cannot afford any mistakes on solve 2, and it's looking phenomenal, but a huge lockup on the last couple of turns keeps this solve from being sub 5. Despite the bounce back from Matty, both of Max's first 2 solves are faster than his first 2, and going into an absolutely pivotal solve 3, Max is completely locked in. It's not nearly as efficient as Matty's last solve, but it just doesn't matter. Still a great execution into a mid 5. From here on out, Matty knows he is going to have to be at or near the level he reached in his historic semifinal round to even stand a chance. And solve 3 looks decent at first, but he runs into a really bad situation at the end of it. Just way more moves than he intended, meaning the 6.2 he got on solve 1 is going to count. His range of possible averages plummets, leaving him with an incredibly tall mountain to climb on the final 2 solves. Max has Matty on the ropes, and is now in position to take first place from Chris Sun. All he needs is a 6.39 or better to do it. Can he keep up the stone-cold consistency he's shown and become national champion? Max just barely reaches the mark to beat, putting him ahead of Chris Sun by just 0.04 of a second. Max Park has officially taken over first place. Matty needs at the very least a 5.46 to stay in it. Otherwise, Max has officially secured his 5th national title.
So he's actually going to need to count 523 and a little bit better. Green cross is going to be his choice. Showing off some good turning, but a lot.
It's not going to be enough. A 5.80, meaning Max Park is national champion for the 3rd year in a row. And Matty Hiroto Inaba finds himself finishing behind Chris Sun on the podium. The 18th ranked cuber in the US finishes 2nd at 2025 Nationals. From losing the longest held record in American speedcubing history to back-to-back-to-back national champion in the same day, Max Park is as dominant as he was 8 years ago. And 8 years ago, these kids weren't even born. And when these kids were born, this kid wasn't even born. Yes, she is 5 years old. And yes, she is indeed faster than you. And yeah, that's all the reminder you need. I mean, it's the youngest kid that's ever been in the Daily Reminder. And that should be pretty humiliating for you, I would say. But yeah, have a good rest of your day, guys. I've never told you that, but I hope you really do have a good rest of your day. And besides that, that's about it. See ya.